Hello and welcome everyone to my channel where I offer guided art tutorials on the Procreate app using an iPad. This is your time to unwind and relax, so grab a beverage and let's get into it. New videos are put out every Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you like the channel, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Alright, let's start with step number 1. We're going to start by creating a new canvas. So you can do a screen size. I always do 16-inch width by 20-inch height, just in case I ever decide to print it, but you can do whatever size you would like. Step number 2, we're going to download the color palette from the description box below. And step number 3, we're going to start working on the background. So in the color palette, the very first color you'll see is a dark gray, and we're going to drag and drop it into the background. Using an acrylic brush, we're going to use color number 2 in the palette, which is a peach color. And we're going to start kind of layering in some clouds here. Don't worry about how it looks right now. We're going to use the smudge tool and we're going to blend everything in afterwards. I grab the third color in the color palette and I add that warmer color to where the horizon is going to be. This is where I grab the smudge tool and I lightly just feather out the edges. I grab a dark blue color and I just add it towards the top of the canvas. Using that smudge tool, I just go over everything a little bit more. Step number 4, we're going to start adding the mountains. Make sure you add a second layer, and we're going to grab that kind of orangey color, rusty orange color from the middle top row of the palette, and we're going to add our first mountain range. Once you're happy with it, drag and drop that color in and fill in that area. Next, I picked a browner color, which is the next color next to the orange. This is the third layer we added in. Then I go and I take an acrylic brush and we're just going to add a little bit more details to the mountains. Just so it doesn't look like such a, one color kind of boring. It looks a little bit more realistic this way. So I went back into the first mountain range, that orange one, and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to use a brown color on the orange and then the orange color I used on the brown. And then the smudge tool just to kind of soften out the edges. I add a fourth layer and I use a gray color on the palette. And I draw a line straight across and we're going to drag and drop and fill that area. So this is where I run into a little bit of an issue. When you make such a big canvas, like a 16-inch by 20-inch, you're only allowed to do so many layers. If you pick screen size right on, this does not affect you. I had to drag the layers together, and then when you click on it, it says flatten on the left-hand side, so I had to condense the layers together. So the darkest blue color, top row, it's the furthest blue color on the right-hand side. I draw that the closest mountain range. And then I go in and I grab a lighter grayish blue color. And we're doing the same thing. We're kind of adding a little bit more lighting, just so it's not all one boring color. I add another layer on top of this. I add so many layers just in case. It's easier to delete that way if you don't like what you put in. And then this is the last mountain range that we're adding in, using the same dark blue color and the same light blue color for the highlights. I smudge everything together. Step number 5, we're going to be doing the trees next. Again, I add another layer. So we're going to grab the last color on the first row of the color palette. And then we're going to kind of messily etch in some trees. You can do it again quickly, or if you want to take your time with this, go for it. I like the messy aesthetic sometimes. Make sure you're filling in all the line, like you're connecting everything, because we're going to be dragging and dropping to fill the color or this area in a second. All right, so once that area is filled, we can go into step number 6, which is we're going to be working on the deck ledge that the coffee is going to be sitting on top of. So I go and I add another layer. So now using the first color on the second row, the middle row on the color palette, I'm drawing 2 parallel lines and we're going to fill it in. And then we're going to draw another 2 parallel lines here. And we're also going to fill that in. So if you click that layer on the left-hand side, you press alpha lock, and that allows you to shade just that area and not go beyond it. So I use an acrylic brush here, and I'm just adding lighter points towards the left-hand side and darker points towards the right-hand side. I grabbed a dry brush, which I love this brush, to add texture, and this is in the painting section. And I just go back and forth with dark browns and then lighter grays. If this is going too fast for you, please pause and you can go back at any point. Pick a darker brown color, and this is where I add some shadowing where the cup is going to be sitting. Okay, so in step number 7, we're going to be working on the coffee cup. So I grab a brown color just to outline the coffee cup, just to kind of get an idea of what I want, and I use a syrup brush from the inking section. Again, you can spend your time with this. Yeah, my cup looks a little wonky, but that's okay. I think it looks cute. So you can add and fill it in with the browns. So the colors for the cups, I mostly use middle row colors towards the right hand side. Here I alpha locked it. So we click on this coffee cup layer and you press alpha lock, and then you're allowed to do this shading just in the coffee cup area. And I always go back and forth between putting in colors, then smudging, then putting in colors, then smudging. And that way it kind of gives you a better idea of what you're working with. Adding some shadows. And then picking that smudge tool up and smudging everything together. And then I add some more highlights to wherever the light would be hitting. Okay, so I went and added another layer to where the actual coffee part is. You can see me doing an oval at the top there. That's just so that I could click and alpha lock it and just shade the coffee part of it. I know it's probably some extra steps here that aren't needed, but that's the way I did it. Once you are happy with it, you can connect the two layers together, create a new group, and then flatten them together. I go back into the deck section and I add a little bit more shadowing. And then I ended up going back with the syrup brush and a black color. And I went around the cup just to like accentuate it a little bit more. It looks very like illustrated that way once you start adding the black lines around things. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it though. I'm just touching up a few things here and then we will move on, I promise. Okay, so I go in and you can use the cloud brush to add some steam coming off of the coffee cup. As if you watched my videos before, I love the Groovy brush, which is in the vintage section. I think it just looks cute for illustrations. For realism, probably not the best brush, but you can do whatever you prefer. It's the magic of doing your own artwork. And then this is the end illustrated version. If you're interested in the illustration part, I do have a video on this that I can link in the description box below. Thanks everyone for following along, and I hope you have a wonderful day.